everybody. It's Sophie and Marco Dish on the Movies, and we are on the final episode of Better Call Saul Season 4. And this is episode 10 called Winner.
Why is it called Winner?
Well, Marco, you can explain that later, but there's a couple of occasions when they use the word, and if he wants to explain that, he can, but I guess it's your opinion on why something is a winner.
Like 5 or 6 times?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
whatever. The final episode is called Winner. So, for most of the season, there's been some kind of time differential to begin the episode. Not every time, but this time there was again. Today we begin in the past, like the recent past. It's the ceremony for all new attorneys. Chuck stands with his brother Jimmy and, quote, vouches for him. And then the rest of the new lawyers have their significant persons vouch for them too. The next scene takes us to a karaoke bar, and the lawyer or intern who had been bringing food to Charles in the previous seasons was singing Ernie. Sorry, I didn't remember. Was singing karaoke. Kim and Jimmy are at a table together. Charles sits alone. Now it's Jimmy's turn to sing. But Chuck stands up to leave. Jimmy rushes over and convinces him to stay. When Jimmy stands up and begins singing, he hands the mic over to Chuck and drags him up on the stage too. They start singing together. Later, Chuck puts Jimmy to bed because he is so drunk. Before falling asleep, the two brothers continue singing that same karaoke song and then fall asleep.
Which, this is yet again, another time in the season where it's made clear that Kim is like differentiating herself from Jimmy, because at first he wants to sing a song with her and she just completely rejects everything he's suggesting to her. And like that's her character, that's how she always is. Like he talked about in the last episode, she gives him this look all the time. Whenever he says something, she doesn't take him seriously. And yet again, another example of that in this episode, right at the beginning. And Chuck does. I don't. At the end, when Chuck takes the microphone from him, was that meant to happen? Like was that his part of the song? Remember?
Well,
at one point, Chuck grabs the microphone from Jimmy, and he starts singing all by himself.
Well, that's at the end of that part. First Jimmy handed him the microphone and made him sing, and he seemed to understand. Jimmy seemed to understand this was a song Chuck was familiar with too, and so first he hands it to him, and then he gets it back, and then near the end of this part, Chuck actually grabs the microphone away and does a whole long thing and finishes it up.
Yeah.
So, like he's enjoying himself. Because really he was kind of being a stick in the mud. I'm above
As
this,
usual.
and I could never do this. But he got into the moment with Jimmy. Not that he was enjoying singing with Jimmy. I don't know about that, but he liked being up there singing that song. And of course, Jimmy was a horrible singer, and he actually sang
quite a bit,
a lot better than him. And you could tell he knew the words to the song, like he had memorized the words. So, and the song seemed to familiar to me, but I could not tell you what it was. I have no idea. So,
That's the opening.
okay, so the rest of the episode takes place a year later since Chuck died. So we have gone at the beginning of the season a year. And so now we're a year later when it gets to be episode 10.
Which I still maintain it was rushed. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that.
Okay, well, so the rest of the
the whole
episode centers around Mike looking for Werner, the head of the Germans.
Doesn't take him long.
Yeah, and Lalo is spying on the Los Pollos operation, and then he decides to watch what Mike is doing and follows them all around, or at least he tries to. And then the rest of the episode shows Jimmy climbing mountains, which is a metaphor to the process he and Kim go through to get him reinstated.
Yeah.
Near the end, you see a little bit of Howard. He seems to be back on top. Why or how this happened is unexplained. But he does look happier and better than ever. And guess what? No Nacho.
No letter either.
Gail makes a brief appearance because Gus wants to show him the unfinished lab. And boy, is he excited. He wants to get started.
Gus isn't.
But Gus is unhappy. And he says, no, not until it's completely finished.
I don't think he really has a right to be unhappy.
Gus can do whatever Gus wants because Gus has all the power.
Not really.
Well, he thinks he does.
He wants to.
Sometimes when people have all the power,
He wants to have all the power. He doesn't have all the territory yet, as explained
That's true.
in the first episode when they were talking about not overstepping their bounds. So he doesn't have the territory yet. He doesn't have...
But he has the people to kill other... He has the people working for him who have no compunction about killing anybody. So, and he doesn't have to do it himself. He just tells them to do it.
He does it himself, though, a lot.
Well, if he wants to, yes, he can. But really, now that he's getting more power, he has other people do it for him.
Okay, so this episode as a whole, we're not going to talk about the season this episode because it'll go on a little bit too long if we do that. We're going to do I'll do a whole separate video where I just break down the season and talk about like how inconsistent the writing is, how inconsistent the episodes are. So right now we're talking about the episode. I liked it. I don't think it's nearly as good as last episode, episode 9. And it's a little bit better than episode 8, but at the same time, episode 8 I like a lot more because we had all those awful, boring episodes before, and then it was a pleasant surprise to get episode 8. So that one is kind of viewed a little bit differently. And it's an okay finale. It has a lot of problems, and yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to review or give it your rating?
Well, what did you think about it in general? No spoilers. Did you like it?
Well, I did. I liked it a lot because
No spoilers.
I gave it I gave it a good review, or gave it a good rating because of the depth of emotion it brought up within myself. Sadness, and then an unbelievable feeling of being appalled. But I did have a couple of questions, which, how come Howard's so, like, perfect now and doesn't look harried, his hair's not messed up, he doesn't look like he's missing any sleep now. And then, where was Nacho? And why was Lalo, oh, that's right, Marco told me, why was Lalo following Mike and so interested in what he was doing and not anybody else?
He
So
was at first.
those were the questions I was left with. And also, I guess I could say, which I didn't think of when I was writing this ahead of time, but Kim seems to be Kim seems to have gone full circle. She was her certain way.
That's not a good thing either.
Well, I don't know. She was a certain way, like at the beginning, very supportive of Jimmy.
And then she turned into a complete
selfish.
bitch.
Well, she went behind his back, and then she all of a sudden seems to be totally supportive of him, like she's his wife. You know, like they really love each other. And
well, maybe they're trying to make her into the victim again, because they could try to make it, oh look, he's the one who ruined it with her, and it's all his fault. She's the victim. I really hope they don't do that, because they spent so much time in the middle of the season trying to make her the bad guy and trying to turn her into like the devil, like the woman version of Chuck. And so I hope they don't screw that up.
Well, she seems to have gone full circle, okay? So that kind of leaves you like a little bit unstable. Like you're gonna like, what? So I don't know. And like Marco said, who knows? He's trying to come up with a reason for that. It could be that she was just grieving about Chuck. I don't know, why would she be grieving so much? I don't know. Just really weird. But anyway, our observation is she's gone full circle. She's back to where she was at the very beginning of the episode. Very supportive of Jimmy. Like, they could. Well, actually, it's probably not totally true, because she still is in her office. She's still helping. She's still
yeah, but they're not portraying it as a bad thing anymore. They're portraying
right.
it as a good thing.
Like this is part of their lives
very
together.
Queer.
Well, they just don't show anything with that. They show her standing up with him. She helps him, and I told you, in this climbing the mountain process of getting reinstated, which pulled out every stop in the book, and unbelievable. I mean, the work they went to. And so now they're like, all together, but then something weird happens, and actually that's what we're left with at the end.
Stop it, Sophie.
So anyway, I gave it a really good I give it a good rating. It's number 1 in my book. Marco's so hypercritical.
Hypocritical?
No, hypercritical of things.
I don't. But
that's what I think. I just, like I said, though, I was disappointed about not seeing Nacho. That's like all up in the air.
I have high standards for this show. I don't have low standards. Just, I hope I enjoy it. I hope it's a good episode. I have high standards.
Well, I was disappointed a lot about Nacho, because it's like he's just been like left up in the air, and even when I told you they pulled out all stops to look for Werner,
he's just thrown in there like pepper. He's just peppered in areas of the season. Of course, I don't want to get into that right now.
Well, I was thinking maybe even if they didn't show him like close up and talk to him, and whatever happens, like I said, they pulled out all stops to look for Werner, and when Lalo was looking at all these guys that are not Gus's henchmen, including that would have been, they couldn't show that because he doesn't know Nacho's working for them. Oh God, how could I forget? So that's why we didn't see Nacho. Because I thought he would be, and he's lucky he didn't see him, because he would have been with all those people looking for Werner. He was spying on him and seeing all.
He's not working for the. well, he's a double agent,
He's a double agent, and
but
it's
but
he's lucky.
it won't appear that way because the Salamanca's used Spring's operation for distribution, so he could be there anyway. It's just they were uh, fast on this issue, this burner issue, and so I'm gonna rate the episode 3 times. I'm gonna rate each segment, and so turn your phone off, Sophie. There's one segment about Wallow, and I thought it was kind of pointless because it didn't go anywhere at all, and it just seemed like it was setting up for next season. And also because Wallow does not really do anything villainous in this episode at
Yes,
all.
he does.
Not really.
Okay, we
Not
don't.
compared to what a great villain would do in a finale.
He may have killed somebody, so I don't know what he's talking about. Marco thinks he just knocked the guy out, but I think he could
But
have
the
killed
whole
him.
segment is just, it's pointless. So I give the segment a 7 out of, sorry, I forgot which kind of rating. I give it a C plus because I really do like the actor and I love the character and think he has a lot of potential that with this inconsistent writing probably won't get tapped into. And then I rate the Werner segment a D because of what it did, what kind of impressions that it gave me. I won't go any more detailed than that. And I give the Jimmy segment an A plus. So it's
Okay.
an ADC.
It's probably like a C, totally.
Well, one segment just was an epic failure. And so,
Okay, well, I gave it an A plus.
of course you did.
Okay, well, so anyway, can we do spoilers now? Because we wanted to make this short.
Let's do spoilers.
Okay, well, in general, remember the rest of the German team? Well, they didn't leave the place. They're all there, and they get sent home.
And they don't show up at all.
And they don't even show them. This is just said. Mike finds Werner, and he tells him that they're gone, that they're going home. We'll get back to that in a minute. It's all good, man. Did you hear the name Saul Goodman in there? It's Saul Goodman. That's how Jimmy gets his new name at the end of the episode. He does get reinstated, and the things that he says about he made the people on the committee cry when he was being fake, and Kim actually had believed his statement too, and because
she's a sucker too.
And he called them suckers, didn't he? On the committee, I think he called them suckers.
Well, he mugged afterwards to Kim, and Kim had that stupid look that she always has, as usual, whenever he's like happy or talking about something. She has this look like, yeah, you're such a loser. And then even at the end of the episode, when he walks away, she just has this dumbfounded look at him, like he's a nothing and he's such a
no, I think
fool.
she was shocked. I don't think that at all. I think she was shocked.
She always has this patronizing look at him.
Well, anyway, her look went from one way to a totally different way. She was like, "Oh, that was such a wonderful thing. All those things that you said," and she was, and she was happy. And then when he said that stuff about what happened was he brought the letter with him. That remember the letter that Chuck sent him, and we still don't believe he wrote it because it didn't sound like him at all. And we were thinking that maybe they were going to do more with this letter.
Well, the reason why they didn't do more was so that they could use it as a plot device.
I guess so, but whatever. He was going to read the letter as the final thing that they did all these things. We're not gonna reveal that because you'll
And
watch
then
it yourself.
he surprised Kim by not even reading most of it.
Yeah, he only read like a little bit of it, and he said, this letter's really between me and my brother. And then he began to talk about how great Chuck was and how perfect he was, and he could only do part of what Chuck was doing, but he wanted to try, and which was bullshit. And but he didn't reveal that it was, what. So anyway, her face went from one kind of expression to a complete expression of dumbfoundedness.
And there's a moment in the episode where he realizes that he has to become Saul, and that's after he gives a speech to somebody about how after you make a mistake, the people and the firms, like these people like Kim, for example, they're always going to look at you the same way.
Yeah, they're never going to forgive you.
Yeah, even though you just made a mistake. And so he realizes that they're always going to look at him the same way,
no matter what he does.
and so he has to completely change.
That's why he takes a new name.
That makes total sense, and that's exactly what I meant. I'm glad that this moment finally happened, because I hated that moment in that awful episode where it was just a close-up of his calling card and it said Saul Goodman. Like, wow, that's the gratifying moment we've been waiting for.
They could have actually showed that card at the end of this episode.
Oh. And
they could have showed it again. Like, just show the card at the very end of the episode.
Oh.
Well, anyway, it's also the worst part of it. Of course, Marco's really upset about it. Mike goes to big lengths to find Werner, and because Gus wants him found, and he actually, like I said, Gus has gone to all ends of the earth to find him, and he gets all of his quote henchmen to find him too. Well, Mike says, "Let me find him. I will find him," and they call them off. And so what the thing is that Werner has asked his wife to come to the country and come to this place he finds.
And just stay there with him for a couple of days.
And then go back home.
And then go back to work.
And then he'll go back to work. And, of course, they just can't have that because I guess they just can't.
Reason.
They can't. They say they can't trust him.
That's not an excuse.
Well, that's what they say. And Mike does track him down because he's so good at what he does. I mean, he was a cop for 1,000,000 years and probably what a detective. And he's good at what he does. He finds him. And so has Lalo. But Lalo found him by phone. And
yeah, that's all he had to do.
And he actually contributed to the negativity of the whole situation. It made it worse, but I think the outcome still would have been the same.
Yeah, but he didn't tell Lalo anything bad.
No, not really
at all.
He calls the German at the hotel, and while he's talking to him, he makes him believe that he knows all that's going on, and Werner says, "I'm going back. Everything's going to be okay." And then Mike steps up and grabs the phone, and Lalo gets found out, and they hang up. And anyway, what happens is his wife's supposed to come, but Mike says, you don't seem to understand.
And then he has to make a call to save his wife because they're going to kill her if she goes to the hotel for no reason, by the way.
I think they were going to kill her when she gets out of the airport.
And
They're not even going to wait till she gets down
no, Sophie. She was in a cab, uh, going away from the airport to the hotel.
there. I think
She was no,
she was going to rent a car.
or no, she rented a car. She was going to the hotel and she turned around. So no, that is not true.
So they, so
And
he
so
had
he
to
had
yell
to
at
call
her
her
and yell at
and
her.
tell her to go home so that she wouldn't get killed.
But he didn't
Does this
say that.
does this does this remind you of anything?
And Marco's having a fit
This
because
is an exact copy and paste of Breaking Bad season 5 episode where Walter calls his wife and he takes her out of the incrimination even though she's just as bad as him. Uh, he makes it so that she's not incriminated, and he calls her a bitch and makes it seem like he's a horrible person to her, and to give that impression, and then he hangs up the phone. So that scene is literally copy and pasted here.
so Mike ends up taking Werner to the desert, and it's dark out, and after he makes that call to his wife, and he has to yell at her and say, "Go back home. I can't be with you. I've got to go back to work. There was a mistake," and he can't reveal to her that she's going to get killed or she's in danger. So that was bad because he didn't want to do that, and that was be the last time he would ever talk to her. And then Mike, and then he walks away to look at the stars, and Mike kills him and turning him into like a hitman for Gus, which isn't so good.
Yeah, so basically this whole entire segment, it's number one, it's anticlimactic because it takes him like 2 seconds to find Werner. He goes to the travel place and then he tracks down the hotel immediately. And then he finds him sitting there at the pool drinking a drink, and he's not talking to anybody either. He's not giving away any information. And it just gives off the impression that Mike is a bad guy and that Gus is a bad guy. And it makes me want to see both of them dead now. So I don't understand why they would want to do that to these characters who we've liked a lot the entire season. We've identified with them. Gus has wanted to get revenge against Hector, and how he does that. It's all cool. And then with Mike, we had empathized with him. But now, like, who cares about them? I don't even want to watch them anymore. I'd rather just skip through all their scenes now. They're terrible.
Well, I think the problem is, well, Mike, if he didn't do that, he would have been killed too.
No, he
And
wouldn't.
I think so.
No.
And also, Wallow complicated the situation too, because he had to tell Gus that Lalo called Werner, and so he doesn't. I don't think he knows who Lalo is, does he? Mike doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know.
He just said there's some person who's. Do you know who that is? There's some person who's been following me, and he was on the phone with Werner, and
I wanted Lalo to kill. Here's what I wanted to happen. I just want to get through it quickly. I thought that since Werner was locked up so long, that he would become reckless and that he would start running around crazy and doing crazy things, like, I don't know, doing donuts in the parking lot. Maybe he he's been locked away so long. It's like, what if he just goes insane? And then I would understand he would have to be killed. But the way that he gets killed, he's sitting at the pool, not talking to anybody, waiting for his wife, and not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but he's on the phone when Mike walks up, and that even makes it look worse. Like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, but he didn't. They gave the call to him. He didn't call anybody, and
But that doesn't matter.
he thought it was his wife.
Yeah, I know. He did think it was his wife. He started talking in German.
And or this would have been cool too. You could have had Lalo kill him. You could have had Lalo meet him there before Mike could get to him. And you could have Lalo torture him into telling him what's going on. And then boom, Lalo kills him. Boom. That makes Lalo a great villain. That makes Mike lose to the villain in the end, and that would have been a lot better of a story ending than this crappy ending that they chose. So.
Okay, well, we have to end the. We've got to stop.
What do you think, Sophie?
I don't know.
Would you have liked Lalo to kill him?
No, I don't know.
Why?
I think just Lalo. I don't
He's
even
a
know.
villain.
I don't even know why he was in there. I think it was stupid. I think he just complicated this. I would have rather not even had Lalo in the episode and show Nacho.
Show Nacho.
But that made it. You're adding another like complication into what's going on with Werner, and so it made for good TV. But I could care less about him. I think he's stupid, and he's a troublemaker.
I think he's cool.
And he's also bad.
And that they did not show his potential in this episode. It's kind of like an Ozark. Well, I won't get into that, but Ozark kind of had the same situation a little bit, and it ended a lot better than this one. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Marco will be back soon with his whole recap, or let's say review or evaluation of the season as a whole. Okay?
It'll be called the Why Season 4 of Better Call Saul is a Huge Mess.
And I will be coming up with my next book review. I have several I can do, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. And we will be reviewing Double Double Toil and Trouble, which is a kids' Halloween movie, and it will be the only kids' Halloween movie we will be reviewing. And we have several others to review because it is October and it is going to be Halloween, so we've got to get busy.
Phantasm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.